The Manimal Unleashed, the definitive Kenneth Faried biography. Welcome back to Behind the Basketball, the ultimate destination for basketball purists, historians, and fans who live for the grit and grind of the hardwood. Today, we are embarking on a journey through the life of a player who defied every scouting report, every physical limitation, and every expectation placed upon him. On today's video on Behind the Basketball, I'm going to do exactly what you just asked me to do and provide the most exhaustive, comprehensive, and detailed look at the career of Kenneth the Manimal Faried ever produced. Think back to the NBA landscape of 2011. The league was in the middle of a massive identity crisis. The Big Three era in Miami was in full swing, and the game was beginning its slow tilt toward the perimeter. Yet out of a small school in Kentucky came a player who felt like a throwback to a much more primitive, much more aggressive era of basketball. Kenneth Faried didn't just play the game, he attacked it. He treated the backboard like a personal challenge and the rim like a mortal enemy. For a kid from Newark, New Jersey, basketball wasn't just a sport. It was a way to manifest an internal fire that had been burning since birth. In this video, we aren't just skimming the highlights, we are going deep. We are looking at the family roots that gave him his legendary toughness, the middle school courts where he learned to outleap the giants, and the high school halls of Technology High, where he proved academics and athletics could coexist. We will then spend significant time dissecting every single NBA season, the stats, the double-doubles, the massive dunks, and the unfortunate way the league's evolution eventually phased out his archetype. Finally, we'll track his global journey across China, Russia, Mexico, and Greece. This is the complete story of a man who refused to be outworked. This is Kenneth Faried, the Manimal, the birth of a legend. Kenneth Bernard Faried Lewis entered the world on November 19, 1989, in Newark, New Jersey. To understand Kenneth, you have to understand the environment of Newark in the late 80s. This was a city that demanded a certain level of mental and physical fortitude just to navigate the daily commute. It was a place where the hustle wasn't a choice, it was a survival mechanism. Kenneth was born into a family that embodied the spirit of Newark resilience. His mother, Wada Faried, was the North Star of his life. A woman of immense faith and discipline, she raised Kenneth within the Islamic tradition, which instilled in him a sense of ritual and focus that would later define his professional routine. But the family's strength was truly forged in the fire of health adversity. Wada was diagnosed with lupus, a chronic autoimmune disease that causes the body's immune system to attack its own tissues. Growing up, Kenneth didn't see a mother who complained. He saw a mother who fought. He watched her manage extreme fatigue and physical pain with a quiet dignity that left a permanent mark on his psyche. He realized early on that if his mother could fight through a debilitating illness to provide for him, he had no excuse to ever give less than 100% on a basketball court. The household was unique for the time. Kenneth was raised by two moms, Wada and her partner Manimal. In the social climate of the 90s in Newark, this non-traditional family structure required a thick skin and a tight-knit bond. They provided Kenneth with a bedrock of emotional support that allowed him to ignore the distractions of the street. While many of his peers were drawn into the darker elements of urban life, Kenneth was pushed toward the library and the gymnasium. His father, Kenneth Lewis, lived in nearby Jersey City and remained a part of his life, but the daily discipline was handled by the women in his Newark home. This environment created a psychological profile that was perfect for a rebounder. Rebounding is 20% height and 80% desire. It is about wanting the ball more than the person next to you. In Newark, you had to want everything more than the person next to you. Kenneth didn't just play ball, he hunted the ball. He grew up in a culture where if you didn't grab what was yours, someone else would take it. By the time he was a toddler, the physical attributes were starting to show. Long limbs, broad shoulders, and an explosive twitch. But it was the Newark-bred Manimal spirit, forged by his mother's battle with lupus and his family's unwavering support, that truly set the stage for the legend to come. Section 2. the middle school grind. As Kenneth moved into his middle school years, the pogo stick began to take shape. This was the era of the growth spurt, where Kenneth shot up in height, but remained lean and wiry. In the middle school leagues of Newark and Jersey City, the game was played with a raw, unpolished intensity. There were no fancy Nike-sponsored camps at this stage. There were just asphalt courts with chain nets and rims that were rarely level. It was on these courts that Kenneth developed his signature second jump. In middle school, most kids jump once for a rebound, and if they miss it, they wait to see what happens. Kenneth learned that if he could get back into the air before his opponent even hit the ground, the ball was his. He became obsessed with the physics of the backboard. He would spend hours watching how the ball spun off the rim. He realized that the majority of missed shots would bounce to the opposite side of the rim, and he began to position his body with a mathematical precision that belied his age. But it wasn't just about the physical. Middle school was where Kenneth's personality began to shine. He was a bright kid, always smiling, but the second the whistle blew, he became a different person. His coaches at the time noted that he had a motor that never turned off. While other kids were huffing and puffing by the fourth quarter, Kenneth looked like he was just getting started. This endurance was partially genetic, but also a result of the work ethic instilled at home. During this time, he wasn't yet the Manimal, he was just Kenneth, a kid who would die for a loose ball, even if his team was up by 20. He was the kid who would block a shot and then sprint the full length of the floor to be the first one under the opposite basket for a layup. This period was crucial, because it allowed him to develop his identity as a blue-collar player. He wasn't interested in being the point guard or the shooter. He embraced the dirty work. He found joy in the physical contact of the paint. By the time he was 14, he was already dominating older kids in local run games. The word was starting to spread around Newark. There was a kid at the local YMCA who didn't let anyone else touch the ball. He was raw. His jump shot was non-existent, and his handle was shaky, but he was the most productive player on the floor every single night. Section 3, High School, Technology High. Kenneth Faried's high school career is one of the great under-the-radar stories of New Jersey basketball history. He chose to attend Technology High School, a magnet school in Newark. This was a massive decision. Tech High was known for engineering, computer science, and academic rigor, not for its basketball program. Most elite players in the area were flocking to powerhouses like St. Benedict's or St. Patrick's. By going to Tech High, Kenneth was essentially saying that his education came first. On the court, however, he turned a small academic school into a powerhouse. As a senior, his stats were nothing short of mythological: 23.2 points and 15.8 rebounds per game. He was a human double-double. He led Technology High to a Group 1 state championship, which was a monumental achievement for the school. He was named First Team All-State, putting him in the same conversation as players who were much more highly recruited. One of the defining moments of his high school years took place at the 5-star basketball camp. This camp was the gold standard for high school prospects, a place where legends like Michael Jordan and LeBron James had once honed their skills. Kenneth arrived as an unranked, unknown prospect. He left as the top rebounder of the camp. He spent the entire week outworking 5-star recruits who had 10 times the media hype. He didn't care about the rankings, he cared about the ball. Despite his dominance, the major college programs were hesitant. They looked at his 6'8" frame and called him a tweener. They didn't think he was tall enough to be a center or skilled enough to be a wing. They missed the forest for the trees. They missed the fact that his heart was bigger than anyone else's on the floor. He didn't get the offers from the ACC or the Big East. He was largely ignored by the big-name schools in his own backyard. This rejection fueled him. He eventually committed to Morehead State, a small school in Kentucky. He left Newark with a state title and a burning desire to prove that the experts had made a colossal mistake. He wasn't just going to college to play basketball. He was going to college to break every rebounding record in the book. Section 4, the NBA journey year by year. 2011 to 2012, the rookie revolution. Kenneth Faried entered the NBA during one of its most tumultuous years, the 2011 lockout. Selected 22nd overall by the Denver Nuggets, many scouts still doubted if his energy game would work against NBA size. With no summer league to acclimate, Faried spent the first half of the season on the bench. He was buried behind veterans and struggled to find minutes in George Karl's rotation. The turning point came in March 2012 when the Nuggets traded Nene. Suddenly his starting spot was vacant. Faried didn't just fill it, he detonated within it. In the final months of the season, he became a double-double machine. He won Western Conference Rookie of the Month in April, averaging nearly 12 points and 9 rebounds on over 60% shooting. He finished the season with averages of 10.2 points and 7.7 rebounds in just 22 minutes per game. In the playoffs against the Lakers, he became a national star, averaging a double-double and making Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol look slow. He finished third in Rookie of the Year voting, proving he was the steal of the draft. 2012-2013, the 57-win heartbeat. This was the year the Manimal became a household name. Faried started all 80 games he played, averaging 11.5 points and 9.2 rebounds. He was the emotional anchor of a Denver team that went an incredible 38-3 at home. His energy was the fuel for their league-leading transition offense. The highlight of the year was All-Star Weekend, where Faried was named MVP of the Rising Stars Challenge after a 40-point 10-rebound performance. He was also honored with the J. Walter Kennedy Citizenship Award for his work in the community. He led the league in offensive rebound percentage for a significant portion of the season. He helped the Nuggets reach a franchise record, 57 wins. Though they were upset by the Warriors in the playoffs, Faried's reputation as an elite high-motor power forward was cemented. He was a force of nature that couldn't be ignored. The 2013-14 season saw a coaching change from George Karl to Brian Shaw. Shaw's slower half-court system was a challenge for Faried initially. However, after the All-Star break, Kenneth went on a tear that showed he was more than just a transition player. He became a primary scoring option in the post. On April 2nd, he dropped a career-high 34 points and 13 rebounds against the Pelicans. Just 10 days later, he grabbed a staggering 21 rebounds against the Jazz. He finished the season averaging a career-high 13.7 points, along with 8.6 rebounds. He shot 54.5% from the field and showed improved touch on his hook shot. Even though the Nuggets missed the playoffs, Faried proved that he could adapt to a different coaching style and still be the most productive player on the court. He was entering his absolute prime. Fresh off a gold medal with Team USA at the FIBA World Cup, where he was named to the All-Tournament team, Faried signed a 4-year, $50 million extension. He rewarded the Nuggets with a season of incredible consistency. The standout moment came on December 26, 2014, against Minnesota, where he recorded 26 points and a career-high 25 rebounds. It was one of the greatest rebounding performances of the decade. He ended the year averaging 12.6 points and 8.9 rebounds. While the team was in flux, after Brian Shaw was fired, Faried remained a double-double threat every single night. He was the face of the franchise, a player who gave the Denver fans something to cheer for, even during a losing season. He was a vacuum in the paint. 2015 to 2016, the Malone era and the arrival of Jokic. Under new coach Mike Malone, Faried was asked to be the veteran leader for a rebuilding squad. He played 67 games, all starts, averaging 12.5 points and 8.7 rebounds. He shot 55.8% from the field and remained one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA. However, this season was significant for another reason. As the offense began to shift toward Jokic's passing and shooting, Faried's role as a non-shooting big began to change. Still, he adapted, finding ways to cut to the rim and finish Jokic's brilliant passes. He had a massive 25-point, 20-rebound game against Dallas in March, showing that the Manimal was still very much alive. He was a professional, accepting the changing dynamics of the team while still providing elite production. 2016 to 2017, the modern NBA shift. As the NBA moved towards small ball and stretch fours, Faried found himself in a tactical disadvantage. He was moved to the bench for a significant portion of the season, starting only 34 of 61 games. He averaged 9.6 points and 7.6 rebounds in just 21 minutes per game. Despite the reduced minutes, his per-36 numbers remained top tier. He struggled with a back injury mid-season, which zapped some of his lateral quickness. However, he remained a spark plug for the second unit. The Nuggets narrowly missed the playoffs, and Faried's future with the team became a topic of debate. He was a traditional big in an era that was starting to demand three-point shooting from every position. 2017 to 2018, the final days in Denver. This was a year of frustration for Faried. He was largely removed from the rotation as the Nuggets prioritized the development of younger, more versatile players. He appeared in only 32 games, averaging 5.9 points and 4.8 rebounds in 14 minutes a night. It was the end of an era. Faried, who had been the heartbeat of the team for 7 years, was now a DNP-CD, did not play, coach's decision candidate. In the summer of 2018, he was traded to the Brooklyn Nets. He left Denver as one of the most beloved players in franchise history, a man who had given his heart to the city for nearly a decade. 2018-2019, the Houston resurrection. After a brief and unproductive stint in Brooklyn, Faried was waived and signed with the Houston Rockets. In Houston, he experienced a stunning late career resurgence, playing in Mike D'Antoni's system. Alongside James Harden, Faried was the perfect rim runner. In 25 games with the Rockets, he averaged 12.9 points and 8.2 rebounds, including a surprising 35% from three-point range, hitting 14 threes after having almost none in his career. He was a key part of their playoff run, proving that when placed in the right system, he was still an elite NBA contributor. This season was a reminder to the league that the Manimal could still roar if given the opportunity. Section 5. Post-NBA Journey, the Global Manimal. When the NBA calls slowed down, Kenneth Faried didn't stop. He took his legendary motor on a world tour that has lasted years. He first signed with the Zhejiang Lions in the Chinese Basketball Association, where he averaged huge double-doubles before the season was interrupted. He then returned to the US to play for the Grand Rapids Gold Nuggets, G League affiliate, and the Austin Spurs, hoping for an NBA call-up. When that didn't materialize, he headed to Puerto Rico to play for Leones de Ponce, where he became an instant fan favorite. His high-energy style was a perfect match for the passionate BSN fans. His journey then took him to Russia, where he signed with CSKA Moscow, one of the most prestigious clubs in Europe. From there, he moved to the Mexico City Capitanes in the G League, where he was one of the most dominant rebounders in the league. Most recently in 2025 and 2026, he has been playing for Panathinaikos in Greece, competing in the EuroLeague. He has embraced the life of a global basketball ambassador, proving that hard work and energy are a universal language. Whether in Moscow or Mexico City, the Manimal is still hunting the glass. As we look back on the career of Kenneth Faried, the word that comes to mind is relentless. He was a player who succeeded through sheer force of will. He wasn't the tallest, he wasn't the best shooter, and he didn't have the flashiest handle, but he had a heart that wouldn't quit. From the streets of Newark to the bright lights of the NBA and the arenas of Europe, Kenneth Faried left everything on the floor. He remains the NCAA's all-time leading rebounder of the modern era, and a man who redefined what it meant to be a high-energy player. He was a gold medalist, an all-star MVP, and a Denver Nuggets legend. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive on Behind the Basketball. If you enjoyed the story of the Manimal, make sure to like and subscribe for more in-depth basketball bios.